part of the plan, Morgan said, looking at the web, looking for connections, seeing the work of spirit, of the gods and goddesses everywhere. How much easier things were now that she had grasped the meaning and the use of the hand the Fey Queen had given her. It was the hand she used to touch, to direct the elements, to do magic, to sift through the worlds, to light the beacons. Winsome licked her lips, trying to maintain her balance while everything in her vision widened and swirled. "Me?" she squeaked and peered between the trees where she thought for a moment that she'd seen her ancient goddess, her sow beside her. Morgan let go of her shoulder and Winsome shuddered, drew in a breath, drew herself back together. The world came back into focus, although, Winsome thought, gazing about her, it still looked deeper, more real than before, and Coo still grinned at her. She turned to stare at Morgan. "You should give a person a little warning before you do that." Morgan looked abashed for a moment, then she smiled ruefully. "I'm sorry," she said. "I forget that the ability has grown so much." Winsome nodded, then turned to walk. She stumbled for a few steps, then regained a measure of her equilibrium. "That would send some people crazy, you know, having the world blown open like that." Morgan stilled, looked at her, thinking. "Yes," she said finally. "It is what I fear as the veil is brought down." She considered it. Why had she been shown a blessing weaving? Why not, then, the protective wards they use now? Morgan wished she knew. Wished that those in spirit would speak plainly, instead of always in symbolism and vision, which might be the language of the soul, but was sometimes very hard for the rational mind to interpret. Winsome glanced at her. "I think we have enough chaos as it is, with more coming down the road. I don't think we need every Tom, Dick and Harry having their perception blown open like that." She could feel the after-effects still. The woods around her held pockets of reality in each shadow, shimmering large and deep in her mind and vibrating against her spirit. Her colours likely wouldn't be murky right now, she thought, and neither would her spirit be tight against her. Morgan's touch, as she'd looked into the web, had opened her wide. Winsome stood straighter as she walked, feeling the power of that web humming around her. Seeing the truth of the world, Winsome thought, would either make saints or lunatics of anyone who hadn't been prepared for it. So she'd best make the decisions she needed to and prepare, she decided, and swallowed, nerves prickling under her skin. The storm was coming, Morgan had said, and Winsome knew she was right. They parted where the path branched to go down to the vicarage, and Winsome nodded at Morgan. She said. "See you soon, then?" "Of course." Morgan paused before she said the next words. "Winsome," she said, "you're doing fine." Winsome looked at Morgan, startled, then huffed out a breath. "Yes," she said, "maybe you're right." She suppressed a sigh. She could see that Morgan was preoccupied this morning, and that today wasn't really a good time to tell her what was going on. "Will you keep me abreast of developments?" She shifted slightly on the dirt path. "I think I would like to meet Selina and Rue and Clover." Think? Winsome knew she did. On this topic, her curiosity burnt inside her. Yes, she wanted to meet another Lady of the Grove. Would Selina be like Morgan? Selina must have taught Morgan after all. It was all very interesting, and Winsome's spirits lifted. She gave Morgan a broad smile when Morgan answered. "Of course," Morgan said. "You are important to all of this, Winsome. You are the bridge."